seen no like funny business from her.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just couldn't remember her name, so it was easy.
People miss Jake.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
So I'll be. Oh, what is it?
It's just coffee.
No.
That's not a sip?
I definitely will stay up late if I drink coffee.
You sound like an old man.
I did last night.
I need to stay up. I got a podcast edit as soon as this is over.
You do another one?
This one, because we were going to do it yesterday, right? But
We've been gone,
scheduling
gone,
didn't
gone.
work. The whole time we were gone 2 weeks in a row, so everything we had backlogged is up.
Don't you love that?
Yeah.
Welcome to the treadmill of content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that part wasn't explained to me as thoroughly as it probably should have been beforehand.
I'm almost into August
Are you?
for pods,
I'm
going to keep charging till I'm into late October.
I'm so jelly.
That's very
now,
good.
YouTube's a whole different thing. I don't know how to do that. It's hard.
You can't get that far ahead.
We've tried it. It's not easy.
Yeah. Although I think I have.
You can't start that, Chloe.
I think I probably have, oh, goodness. I have about 9 or 10 videos at it right now.
That's good.
That's good.
That feels like a nightmare. Oh, and I've still got so much crap I got to film. I got to start doing broadhead stuff like now.
Yeah,
What'd you think of that Sever, by the way? Did they send you one?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think?
It's going to be my quiver in the back for sure.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to have a beast in the back as well.
I just got those in. You should
I
throw
would like
those
to buy
on.
a 3-pack today.
Okay. I got the 125s and the 100s and the 2.3s and the 2.0s. Those are
Can't wait for those to be in
those
titanium.
are on the website and can be transported.
Got it.
You probably want to pull that down a little bit so it's not blocking your face. There you go.
There you go.
Check, baby.
There we go.
Pop.
What you got over there? What you got over there in
Ice,
that bag?
baby.
Ice, baby.
Sparkling ice, classic lemonade. Do you like Diggs?
It's too late in the
Yeah.
day.
But Doug's. Doug's.
Do
I
you
don't
like
think it's Diggs. I think it's Doug's. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
Doug's. You like Doug's?
Diggs? Oh, dogs?
Oh,
yeah,
dogs.
I like Diggs.
I like caravans better.
We're gonna have to get her off that toy.
I don't think Brad Pitt did a better
We can
role
boot her, but she'll probably win.
than
Yeah,
that
I agree.
movie. That's his best
Yeah.
role.
Yeah.
He's a pikey.
Pika. Yeah, pikey. Yeah, the little traveling gypsies.
And
Yeah.
Tim will appreciate the editing in that was so ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah.
When it came out. You know Snatch? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it all in like a sit down. I know.
homework.
Chloe enough.
It
Hey,
is.
I've seen
Hey,
clips for
sit down.
sure.
Oh,
Sit down. Sit.
Maybe just give her the football and tell her she's done or something. I don't know.
Stay.
Oh,
If you just get her to sit for a little bit, it'd probably be all right.
okay.
tranquilo.
Lay down.
Yeah, I've seen it in clips. Anyway, we should introduce our friend Dan Staten to the podcast,
What's that?
to the fireside chat, where we chat by the fire, and
Even in the summer.
summer, because
Throw
we're
that smaller stuff in.
we're dedicated.
We are.
And Josh still likes to tell me when to put wood on the fire.
Yeah.
When do you think he'll quit doing that,
it's
Dad?
Going down,
Never.
It's going down. It's going down quick.
Yeah.
No, it's not quite time to pull out the old iPad fire just yet.
Yeah, we do have.
You've probably never seen that. We have my iPad Pro, a bigger one.
Yeah,
Have a fire on it.
of course.
So in the summer, you just set it where the fireplace is.
I like that.
You got to have that little ambiance, that little crack, crack, pop.
Jocko's making some bangers over there.
He is.
His protein, milkshake,
Yeah.
bulk,
Yeah. It's good stuff.
5-star review.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can buy just the powder too, and not because it's
I
probably more
have a
expensive.
story
premix.
about the powder.
Dude, give me a story.
Don't quote me on this, but like I thought I was having a heart attack. I'm
Really?
like, yeah.
Really?
I did like 2 scoops right before bed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was hungry and I wanted some dessert, so I just made like iced water, 2 scoops,
Sure.
chugged it. And I'm laying in bed and I'm like, my wife's a nurse, and I'm like, hey, feel my pulse. She's like, what's wrong with you? It was just, I'm like, I don't know, but I think
I should probably go
I need
read
to
that
to the
ingredient
doctor.
list.
Might have to go to the ER. I'm like, maybe this is it. And I was like, wait, let me go check. I thought I had caffeine. It has like arginine, which is a vasodilator.
Oh, okay.
And it's apparently got a lot of arginine. So if you're ever going to try that stuff, don't do it right before bed.
Gotcha.
Word.
It's got a little get me up.
Little vasal.
The basal, little spread. Well, that basal. Well, but isn't there a positive reason for that to be at bedtime as well, though?
At your age, there is.
hey there, little guy. You're only 2 years behind me.
You'll hit 50 first, and
I will. I guarantee it. I will.
Lord willing.
I have no doubt.
Yep.
Where there's a will, there's a way, and I will find a way.
See that pup?
See, all you gotta do is get her laid down. She'll calm down.
You know.
What a good dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've tried a lot of different protein powders, like me, through the years. No, I should say I've tried like a handful, and I found one that I liked a lot, and I would just kind of order the same one. But yeah, I do like theirs.
Which one's that?
Optimum Nutrition Whey Gold Standard.
Oh yeah, the OG.
Yeah, that was like I found that like 10 years ago, and that's basically what I was on all the way up until Molk for the most
They carried
part.
that at Costco. Like you'd buy it in like an actual bag,
Like
just
a satchel.
a satchel of protein.
Yeah.
The Molk, the banana cream one,
Yeah.
tastes just like banana Laffy Taffy.
No way.
Like exactly the same. And then there's like almost no sugar in it. I don't get it. I don't know. But anyway, sorry.
Anyway, we got Josh on
you're a fan
protein
of
now. What do you got to do to
healthy
get him on
things.
working out, Dan?
He came over once or
Well,
twice.
I won't have to go as far to get to the gym here pretty soon.
You still won't do it. I'm calling it. And same with
no.
Grimes. He's
No.
like, hey, can I come over and work out? This was before he knew I was moving. And I said, of course.
Yeah,
I know he'll listen to this. That's why I'm like throwing him under the bus. So
that's wise.
I want him there. I want all y'all to come work out whenever. So
No, I've been experiencing more and more things where I know. Like I had to paint Mom's garage yesterday and today, and dude, so sore, hands hurt, joints hurt. I'm like, God, you need to do more physical things. You really do. I mean, shooting a bow's physical, but it's still not. It's not strengthening my grip. It's not,
no.
And my grip's gotten worse lately. So
yeah,
It's a pretty niched out thing, shooting a bow. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
magical.
So let's talk about this for a second. When you're shooting a bow, Dan, which muscles do you feel like you're really activating? Or which ones do you think are like helping you keep the bow steady?
Bow steady. Well, I'm not very steady. But man, there is a lot to be said about the scaps because those things do so much. Scap rotate, upward rotation, downward rotation, retraction, protraction, elevation, depression. And I'm trying to incorporate for the last couple of years, like depression is like a part of the shot process. Like depress down. And Josh taught us a long time ago, stack bone, not muscle. Don't put tension in muscles, which really made sense to me early on, which has kind of evolved the form, but probably rear delt on your pulling side, the lats, rhomboids, those are the muscles in between.
A little trap sneaks into that pulling side too, don't you think?
I think elevation is like going to cause impact changes.
Yeah.
Just like when Jake Webb used to like start out at TAC with pretty good grip, and then by
By the end, it's
halfway,
like, "Roar."
He's running
Jesus,
he's
Jake.
I
running
think a
this.
lot of guys by the end of TAC, especially if they're pulling too much poundage, which there's a lot of bravado and how much poundage you pull.
Sure.
I think that elevation, but to make the bow go off, it's like pushing and pulling. So there's like, it's a yin and a yang, which is awesome, right? So
It's a weird stability, right? Like it's different than a handstand push-up, which also or a handstand, which requires stability. It's not a lot of muscle if you're doing it well. It's a lot of stability. And a bow is like almost the opposite, where it's lateral, not vertical. But your scaps are should be in similar position, right? But for me, Josh, and this is like I got to go way back into the history books. Is my bow's always been pretty shaky. It's like aim has always been a constant struggle.
Yeah.
But like 6 years ago, my shoulder got into a point at which I had to see a chiropractor that helped me with like some prescriptive exercise. But basically what he said was like my shoulder scap was like a little out of alignment, and I struggled with one range of motion, which is particularly like depression. And this, like when you lift an elbow, and when I would shoot a bow, particularly after like you taught me like the right way to like stack my scaps, my lower left lat and lower left scapula would be sore in a way that I've never experienced.
Sure.
Like, and I worked out most of my whole life and played different sports, but I would never experience
You don't move it that way.
Yeah, and I would never experience a soreness like this. It was like deep and weird, and it was always there. It's taken like 2 or 3 years for that to go away. but that's like right in the very bottom left of my left side scapula. And
Yeah,
it
if
still
you get it
shows
down.
up every once in a while.
If you get it down right, that's right where.
So I still feel like I feel it in my lower left lat, particularly if I'm shooting well and I can really suck my shoulder down. I feel like a lot of it's happening in my lower left lat.
Yeah.
And everything around your scapula is helping organize that.
Did you see how shaky Dave Brinker was that first day?
Yeah.
Push like 10x. Like, but he was like, honestly, he's putting on a clinic.
He was doing really good
First
for the
seven
first 7 targets.
I was getting nervous. I was like, oh my God, he's finding the 10 and 11 ring on hard shots. But his bow's all over the place, just shaking. And he started and finished that way. That's just part of his deal.
Well, Joel always says it comes back to the middle. And my like counter argument to that is like, well, good shooters, their bow doesn't move like that. You know, their bow's a lot more still.
Well, they've gotten good at how to position. They know what their exact draw length is. They know what their exact P position is.
But
they know exactly where the weight needs to sit and how much there needs to be to get the bow to just not
And
move.
apparently they know when it's going to go into the X before the arrow gets there. Bodie would be like, yes. And I'm like,
oh, I saw that.
like-
Yeah.
he did that a lot.
I know.
He did that a lot, like on long bombs where like, you know, he's just kind of like after the break, like, and then it'd be an 11. You're like, oh,
Which is even crazier without a scope, right?
no
like-
scope, or a quiver, what's loose.
Yeah, his upper assembly was loose. We
Yeah.
tightened that down about halfway through. Like, what the frick is that noise?
5 arrows in the quiver or 4, because
Yeah.
he's just.
You're shooting a legit hunting setup. There was nothing not a hunting setup about
was a
what he was
short bow,
using.
29
Which
and a half.
we were all using legit hunting setups.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
fair.
He's G'd up from the feet up. It's taken me however long since we really started shooting seriously to now my float is like inside the yellow on a Vegas face. Like it's mostly inside the yellow, but it does float out to the red, but it's mostly inside the yellow.
What about towards the end or from the word go?
I mean, it gets better and worse in waves, but it's mostly inside the yellow now. You know what I mean? And it's crazy how long it's taken me and how many arrows it's really taken me to get to that point.
Well, and it's not just arrows. It's actually understanding and knowing what you're drawing.
And trying, right?
And
Like,
where your peep belongs.
I'm trying, you know. I'm trying to do all these things well. It doesn't mean I'm doing them well all the time, but I am trying.
You've got a lot of reps. A lot of reps in
They
there.
need a Vegas shoot for dummies. I'd go to that.
Yeah.
Well, I just make a handicapping system or something.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say you average a 295, I average a 297, and Tim averages a 298. Well, he gets 2, I get 3, you get 5. Shoot.
Kind of like golf, like a handy.
Yeah, you could totally do that. Well, and there's a lot of leagues that do handicap systems. They do it like an 80% handicap or something like that. So the better shooter still should win, but the score's a lot closer. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that about 75% because it helps negate some of the sandbagging that will inevitably come with the handicap system.
Exactly. Yeah, there's always going to be that issue.
Which is kind of crazy.
Dude, I remember this was a long time ago when we used to shoot a lot of leagues in there and had really good participation.
Precipitation.
And we had a handicap league, and it was all like 3D targets, but with like structure and stuff. And there are 2 different ones on each line. And Joe Conzel, if you ever listened to this, he's an old hat, been around a long time. He understood how a handicap worked, and the scores were progressing, and it was like week 8 or 7 or something like that, and it was like the last week that a handicap was actually going to be adjusted. And he pulled back on his last target, drew back, turned around, looked at me, and smiled, and went 0 to 0, like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only negative with a handicap system.
Okay, so you can game it.
You can game it.
You
yeah.
can. If you start off worse and progressively get better, that's how a handicap system works. And it's like, how bad do you really want to win a handicap league?
How desperate, you know.
Yeah, it's the whole handicap.
And then there's
idea.
also like the integrity thing that comes with that.
Yeah, what we ended up doing after that year, we ended up doing random partners every week.
Oh, that's cool.
So you still shot your best, your partner shot their best, your combined score was what you had for that week. Then you got a different partner next week and a different partner next week. So it randomized who was going to win. So everyone felt like they had a chance to win, and the guy that might be the worst partner might draw the best shooter, and that guy might actually have a chance to win that week. But in theory, the best shooter's still going to win because he's always putting up his portion of a highest score, and if you mix it up, it worked out really good. And we stopped doing that altogether. And there was so much work that went into it for the participation and the targets, because we were shooting at 3D targets at 20 yards and 17 yards, just destroying
Tearing them up,
targets.
yeah.
Like I sat down at the end of the whole thing, and I think we had it on 2 nights, and we had like 50 participants, which is a good turnout for an indoor league, right? Around here, and I penned it out, and we lost $700. I was like, oh, why are we doing this? So I just went, we're shooting at bales, and that's it. And because at least they're not nearly as expensive to maintain, and just shoot indoor dots. And if you want to do a handicap one, but there didn't seem to want to be anybody that really wanted to do handicap dots. Dot shooters wanted their direct scores and whatnot, and so it's the only one we've hung on to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, we're just coming off the backside of Montana Big Sky Total Archery Challenge, which I think is like one of the most beautiful places in the West. How'd it go for you guys? Like, how do you guys have shot a few TACs, so how's your scorecard for yourself or whatever? Guys, if you want to support the podcast, first of all, leave it a review, subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. Josh has a website, it's podiumarcher.com. I have a discount code with that. It's just Tim C. It'll help save a few bucks, and it supports what we do. Also, we have a discount code with Jocko. I like their energy drinks, and I also like their supplements. I've used their Molk. It's just Josh and Tim. And all that stuff is always linked right down below in the description. And we will get right back to the podcast.
TAC was a great experience. I don't know about the attendance. I thought it was down from the year before. Sean said it was sold out. Sean DeGray.
It was definitely sold out, yeah.
But like last year, I could hardly walk through Vendor Village. Like it was shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. And it had similar weather, so you can't really blame it on the weather.
It was earlier this year.
It was earlier. So there was I probably had that conversation with like 10 different manufacturers.
Yeah.
Now it was the same thing across the board.
Low.
Somebody had one of them
walk-by.
had a really good theory that I think is accurate.
Yeah.
So I think I guarantee it sold out. But what's the cost of going to Big Sky? Travel and hotel.
Yeah.
So just because you bought a ticket doesn't mean you went. So I think a lot of people just didn't go that had tickets.
Oh, that makes sense. The other thing that I miss is I've gone to Big Sky every year it's ever been there. And in the beginning, I would pull up with my rooftop tent in the parking lot and hang out and camp out. And then I think
Yeah, it was like Woodstock for archery, man.
Jake came the next year and he had his little rooftop tent. And then the third year we went and we're like, let's cook food for people and just see who hangs out. And started cooking up elk burgers. And I mean, those were my best memories. That's what like hooked me in. And then the next year they're like, no more camping in this parking lot. And that's really like the part I love the most with the community and just kicking it. And now the vendor village is really out of the way between the parking lot and the lift.
Yeah.
The vendor village used to be up on top where the lifts are. Like,
Oh, that's
so you
true. I
walked
forgot
through it.
about
remember
that.
that?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
walk right
it was
through.
never like that when I was.
Now you got to kind of detour.
Yeah.
And then you always have the mountain bikers who don't necessarily love the archers. But they've always done, they didn't used to have a shuttle. So like you'd come down the Ithaca course or Prime course and you're walking all the way back.
Oh Jesus, they didn't have a shuttle for
Yeah,
that.
one year they did not have a shuttle. That is a fact.
I remember walking all the way back. Yeah.
That hike out's brutal enough.
It is
without having to
brutal.
walk.
But I still love the
Still do
Big
it.
Sky event a lot. I think what I would do different next year, like you didn't shoot mornings.
No, just shot afternoons.
I'm doing that.
Yeah.
The morning shoot is kind of like we stay up way too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
we
very
get
short
up-
on sleep.
Really, we just get up. We don't sight in.
It's a shotgun blast, right?
just-
Like,
Get dropped off, and
You're
then
ho-
cameras are rolling for everyone to see.
and you're hoping to like get some caffeine in and take a shit before you shoot.
Neither of those, like caffeine,
Yeah.
yes, you don't get a shit out. So it's just,
Yeah.
I think wake up, have some breakfast with the bros, tell some stories,
Right.
go to the vendor village, kick it for a while, wait till is it 1 o'clock or whatever when it's ride up and shoot. And honestly, we shoot slow and get that low light, great crispy, and
Yeah.
I would be more into that. The whole get up early thing is fine. I mean, we do that in hunting, but man, I hate having cameras in my face at 6 a.m.
Oh, it's hard to be on top of your energy at 6 a.m. Like,
Yeah, you definitely present differently.
I'm a
at
morning
6
person,
a.m.
and I'm not ready to be 100% in front of a camera at 6 a.m., so it's difficult. I like the afternoon program. I've done both this year. I did the morning and the afternoon, and Yeah. I mean, a little bit during the day, you feel like you might be sitting around waiting to go a little bit, but that's fine. And then the evening, it was nice. Yeah. It was really nice.
So that's my vote. And then I would shoot the second course in the afternoon. And it's just like, wow, this is a little bit more fun. I have more energy. I'm shooting. We're driving. It's cool. So that was my takeaway. The squad was awesome. Obviously, I think my highlight was shooting with, Bob Lagasa is a legend. He's always fun. And Bodie was really cool to shoot with Bodie and Joel Turner.
Let me tell a quick side story about Bob while I think about it.
Bob Lagasa?
So we picked up 3 randoms on the day we shot the RMEF course.
Okay.
Because it was going real slow. And I was like, why don't we just have these people join us and we'll just make a
thing.
I shot with randoms video.
Yep.
And and we got to BS with them a little bit, so I got to feel them out, and they were really cool. And actually, they made the video, and they're all MKC employees, which I didn't know till after I met them. But one of the gals we shot with, there's 2 gals, 1 guy, and one of the gals afterwards, they came into the saloon to grab a beer or whatever. The saloon is a funny name. And Bob's sitting there with me, and this girl's like, "Oh, hey, Bob." And and they're like, of course they knew each other. You know, this gal's from Montana, Bob's from Coeur d'Alene, and Bob, like, I don't know if he dated her mom or her cousin or just knew her or something. But yeah, of course, she knew who freaking Bob Lagasa was.
Yeah, right.
So
What a
totally
shocker.
random, you know. I met someone random on the course, and they knew Bob.
Dude's a legend, man. And he's fun. And Bodie and Joel were awesome. I still don't know why Joel doesn't put a sight on his compound. Like, that doesn't still scratching my head on that.
It's to prove a point.
Point proven. You know,
Yeah.
he can hit foam at pretty far shots. He did burn through a ton of arrows.
He did.
A ton, but
He did.
really impressed with him. Bodie, obviously, I've shot with him before. It was a nice refresher as to the difference between an amateur and somebody who's a professional.
Yeah.
And by amateur, I mean just like a normal
Yeah.
average Joe. You know, he
Yeah.
put on a show, man. He was awesome. And same good squad, great people. We shot with some new people. I saw some old friends from Texas I got to shoot with. And I didn't really have any time down the bottom of the mountain, so I didn't say hi to a lot of people. I was always shooting. Did you see a lot of people?
I
on the bottom?
deliberately didn't shoot more to stay down there, and that's where I really felt like there must be a lot less people here.
Okay.
Because the whole time it's just like, dude, there's like, I still had a lot of conversations, but it was not like, it was never an overwhelming kind of thing like it usually is.
Did you chat with Jocko?
I didn't get a chance. Every time I walked by him, he had people around him, and I'm not going to stand there.
I saw him once in the morning when we were going up.
I saw him in the morning once, and I saw him down in the
He's
village.
definitely
Did you
there.
chat with him?
No, I'm real bad about going to like interject myself.
Hey.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like a nice to meet you. I don't know. Yeah.
It was
So
good. I think we had fun. I think we showcased how to have fun. I mean, if you're not having fun at that shoot, man, I don't know. It's not the Sitka course was definitely the hardest I've seen it ever this year.
It was ridiculously hard.
Like, I mean, it's always hard, but
that was the one when you started with the 114 Moose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was prime before, but they switched them.
Yeah, our freaking first day's match finished on that tiny bear.
Mm-hmm.
The
Did you guys hit it?
3 out of 5 hit it.
1 out of 6 hit it.
Yep.
Or 5.
Was it
Yeah.
5 or 6?
You, me, Joel. 6.
Very
6,
challenging
yeah.
for the audio listener. Maybe like
And for the record,
18
Bodie
inch-
did miss that target.
And it's just because he didn't.
He ranged the
range it
tree.
wrong.
He ranged
I
the tree.
did that.
not
It
the bear.
cost me. I shot it for 95
Yeah,
and
I
it
shot
freaking
the
cost
same
me.
thing.
94 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hit high.
And yeah, that was frustrating. But yeah, maybe like a 6-inch wide target by 18 inches tall at 93 yards downhill
I
side
don't
hill.
even think it's 6 inches wide, dude.
Might not have been. I don't know.
Maybe if you count the paws that are out on the side, but yeah, I don't.
Well,
I
if
don't
archery
think
people listen to this, then I'm just going to throw this out there. The flow of both courses has been similar year over year, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see them spread them out so you're never really walking that far to a next target. I'm not saying like I don't want to, like it just gets really spread out towards the end where you're like
walking a really long
walking
ways.
a
Oh,
really long time and there's places you could have shot.
You're saying more equidistant between targets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just spread it out a little bit more so it flows better. Because there was guys who missed a turn, and Joel Turner saved their life. We're all full drawn. He's like, stop, let down. And they were somehow walking behind our target.
Yeah, yeah, that was
that was
on
on
the
prime.
prime, and they were walking down the draw instead of back through the trees.
Yep.
And that was flagged good too. But
It was
that's
flagged
it's gonna happen. Like people are just
Yeah.
not paying attention. And if you weren't doing this and then this and then this and then this and then this, you wouldn't run. And they weren't right next to another lift line or whatever tree line. What do they call the clear cuts that they have for the lifts? Or not the
I'm
lifts,
sure that's
the
got to be
hills that
challenging.
you're skiing
But
down.
dude, shout out to the REMF course. Like that's always my favorite.
It's always
course.
great. What I was just going to say is I've shot enough 3D now to have some opinions, and my favorite 3D courses are the ones that have a good mix of short, medium, far. So you have short shots that can be challenging, or maybe you shoot at smaller rings.
Yeah.
You have medium shots that are probably more practical for hunting shots, and then you have long shots that are bombs that are fun. And the RMEF is just that. Like, it's got a good mix of short, medium, far, different size targets. And the views on that side of the course are beautiful. Like, it almost feels like a bonus course because it's 15 targets versus 25. But I don't know. I have no problem shooting it. Like, that one day that was all we shot and my cup was full, you know.
Yeah, that's my favorite course on that Big Sky.
You guys started not too far behind us. Did you get gusted off the mountain on those first couple targets?
So we got footage of shooting the 96-yard elk at that big gust, like the micro storm that came through. And I got footage, 4K, of Bodie and I shooting at this elk at 96 yards. And this is good to have you here. So, honestly, I had a phenomenal break on it. I don't know what the deal was, but I felt like, oh, you're done. And it's just tracking, fighting a side wind at 40 plus, no joke. And at the very end, it just kind of drifted right out into a 5. It was going to be a 10, and it just drafted into the shoulder. So the elk's broadside at us. Bodie shoots. Now, he's got a 2-degree offset with AAE Hybrid 23s.
Yep.
And I'm running HPs with the crazy helical.
Yep.
How many? 5 degrees?
5 or 6 on that jig.
As much as you could have.
Yeah.
Vanes are damn near touching. And his arrow goes out and just goes almost like 90 degrees or perpendicular, and then gets straightened out and still hit. It was a 5, but it was just left and right was good. It fought. And we're both using those X10 Parallel Pros. So if you watch the footage, you'd say, well, Dan's arrow fought like hell all the way to the very end, and then it got drifted. Whereas Bodie's got destroyed by the wind in the beginning and then recovered somehow. And I have the slow-mo. It is really interesting to watch.
Well, the one thing that you're probably overlooking from that is, and this isn't an offensive thing to you over him, but he's going to probably be better at compensating for the wind and where you hold. So did you guys hold in the same spot?
Yeah, we both held way over, like back of the lungs.
Sure.
So
Okay.
mine drift.
Okay, so if you're holding the same spot, that would be interesting. I know, like a 2.3 is lower profile, so the place where you're going to see a benefit for something like that, which I don't believe you get that to stabilize a broadhead. Period. A fixed blade.
He only uses them on mechanicals.
Well,
Yeah.
I think he only shoots mechanicals for the most part.
Yeah.
But and that's a fine vein for that. But if you're trying to stabilize a fixed blade, you won't get that to stabilize it. I tried.
Yeah. I agree.
I tried it, and I tried it with more helical and less helical, and it did not matter. I couldn't get that to stabilize because I do like how well that vein sticks. Goes on super easy. I liked the profile. It's relatively quiet. Every time I'd shoot that thing, you could watch it wobble at distance, no matter what. And then I'd change to a different vein that weighed the same, and boop, it's gone. The wobble's gone. So yeah, those that would be probably the only reason why you'd have that. And I don't think it's the spin.
Faster would probably fight wind drift.
There's always a surface profile of the fletching. Period.
I think that's got a lot to do with how much drag you're going to catch.
Yes, 100%. It's the height of the vein.
Height of the vein, yeah.
But that's also what stabilizes and steers a fixed blade broadhead. So you're going to move a little more in the wind, but you're going to stabilize a fixed blade broadhead better. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I wonder what would happen if you do the same same vein configuration on 5 mil and then 6 mil, 6.5 mil. Same shooter, same shot, same break.
Everything about it, as you get bigger, it should move farther out away.
Obviously, we would never have shot that distance in that wind.
Oh, yeah, in a hunting situation.
But
yeah,
did
we're
you
talking
guys,
about
like, there was
hypothetical.
one target we couldn't shoot. Like, there was just no way to hold your bow level. That's how windy it was. Like 50-mile-an-hour burst. Did you guys get caught in that?
Well, we got bursted at the top pretty hard, like in the rocky, craggy stuff. And then as we got into the course, most of it was manageable. I think, there might have been a few letdowns for wind, but it was blowing, but we didn't have to skip anything or whatever.
Nothing probably like the wind blows in Texas, as you found out.
Cold, God, yeah.
Like, I've done Texas TAC, or what is it, San Antonio TAC, and oh my gosh, like you got to go morning, or it's like.
Yeah, that would definitely be one where you would want to be doing the morning period because it does get brutal.
We got pretty blessed with good weather down there.
We did. We were very fortunate.
Yeah.
It was cool for the time for down there, I guess, and we never really dealt with wind. It rained a little bit, but just a little here and there. And I don't think, did it rain while we were shooting at any point? I think we were done.
So I'm advertising the one TAC. I haven't been to all of them, obviously, and they're adding more. But next year, my sights are going to be aimed at obviously Big Sky, definitely Utah, and PA, Seven Springs.
I'm doing PA for sure. Now, I'm questioning Big Sky. And here's why. How long did it take us to drive there? 7.5 hours?
7, yeah.
Right. Now, granted, we all left at different times and we all did different things.
And your truck made it back, apparently.
Yeah. Dude, they had a bad injector.
Warranty.
It was warranted, yeah. Yeah, it's got a new $2,000 injector in it, and that would correlate back to the transmission doing weird things, the whole deal. So hopefully that's all it was. I just got it back.
Was it over that Butte Pass is where it acted up?
So actually, once I got the code cleared off of it, I told myself, you're not turning the truck off. Because when you turn your truck off, a lot of those codes were coming on because it was sensing something in the startup module, right? So if you don't turn the car off, it's not going back through the cycle to tell the computer, hey, something's wrong, shut the rig down.
Yeah.
Right. So the check engine light never came back on the whole way back, but the last 2 hours.
When you got gas, you just keep the car running?
Yeah, it's diesel. You keep it running anyway. But yeah, I think I stopped for gas once, maybe, because that thing gets it goes 500 miles on a tank.
Oh, yeah.
But the last 2 hours I was coming back, transmission was pulsing.
Oh, not good.
And no check engine light.
That's scary.
So what it relates back to, because everything's CAN bus, so everything in that thing is talking to everything.
Yes.
So it's getting its flow mixture from the motor, and then it's telling the transmission when to try to shift based off of what's going on. Had a bad injector, so it's not mixing the right air-fuel mixture coming through, so it's doing weird crap with the transmission. I was starting to panic because it was like if you had to go uphill, it was like just put your foot into it really hard, or coming downhill, speed up. So you're not pushing into it really hard coming back up. But it by the time I hit Coeur d'Alene, it was doing it on flat ground.
Keep in mind,
TAC a couple years ago, my tranny started acting up at that Butte Pass.
Yeah.
And then I went into limp mode, right into Three Forks. I let it cool off, and then I made it home. But it was a nice bill. And I remember your tranny went out. Were we on a hunt or something?
it's on a hunt.
What was that one?
My transmission went out at like 85,000 miles in my Ford, and it did start. Josh Crawford was the first person while we were in South Dakota was like, your transmission's going to go at some point.
Yeah, of course.
Because he just felt something. I'm like, dude, don't put that evil on me. Don't even say that out loud.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, don't even say that out loud. But anyway, maybe 20,000 miles later, you just get a little bit of a clunky shift every once in a while, and that clunk just continued to progress and get worse. And then, I had to pull out of the mountains, and I was getting really bad clunks on my way from the mountains to home. And I felt pretty lucky to get it home. And about halfway home, I asked my dad, and I was like, should I just shut this off and call a tow truck? He's like, I don't know. I was like, I'm just going to send it. And I just friggin' hammered down on the gas. And I was lucky to get home. And by the time I got home, I didn't have reverse, I don't think. I think I lost reverse. And then I got it up to our local dealership, and it was a warranty deal. Only real warranty I've ever gotten to use, so that was good. And it's been good since. But, yeah. I always think I'd kind of like to meet the guy that worked on that transmission because, those transmissions are like, is it like an 11-speed transmission or something?
Mine's a 10-speed.
I'm sure it just looks wild on the inside, like.
Jake thought he was going to do his own tranny on that dam.
Yeah.
Like he pulled everything out. I think you remember you were involved at some point. I don't remember what.
He went to the same place I took my Ram to.
Eventually he listened to reason. But Jake, man, he's a pretty amazing do everything kind of guy.
Very mechanically inclined.
Pulled it all out, which to get to a tranny, you got to come in from the back, really.
Oh, yeah.
What she said. And that he waved the white flag, which is rare. And then he called
doesn't
you.
give up.
And so then he had to have that truck towed.
Yeah.
Because it was already.
Yeah.
And then he was talking about like just taking the tranny to the guy and then getting it and putting it back in. And I think eventually he just got the whole truck there.
Your rig that had the tranny going on you, what rig was it?
It was a GMC 2500.
Okay.
Gasser.
Right. So GMC GMC, Ford, and Jake was a Dodge.
Yeah.
So
It happens.
didn't hear Toyota in there, so maybe
course you
maybe you got it all figured out over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, TAC is a 7-hour drive, and
Yeah,
Big
my
Sky
point-
is ridiculously
My point
expensive.
was you could fly anywhere in that time
For the most part, yeah.
for the most part,
True.
right? So anywhere in the country, and if you're driving 7 hours, and in our instances, like you drove by yourself or you had Dodds with you, right? I drove by myself because I had to leave early, and I didn't want to make anybody else leave with me, and I was going a day earlier to do some videos. Did you drive by yourself? Yeah. So we all drove by ourselves.
Stupid.
So we all.
But I
drove
had to
by
go
ourselves,
somewhere.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, you had somewhere else you had to go. So we all drove by ourselves. So it's not like you're sharing fuel.
Well,
Right.
Sean is working on Schweitzer.
If he can
And
make that
if
work,
I
I'd
would
do that in a
trade
heartbeat.
Big Sky for Schweitzer any day.
I think I just don't know if I'd go back to Big Sky. Plus, staying there is expensive compared to some of the other places.
And our Airbnb wasn't cleaned.
Yeah, we were
Like-
doing sheets. Like I walk in, there's a pile of sheets in the garage, right? And
I didn't
Dan's
hear
on the
this.
phone with the guy, and I'm already putting it in the wash. I'm like, the fucking person didn't clean this stuff. Go through the house, like there's no sheets anywhere.
Did
Yeah.
they work with you
Yeah.
at all on that?
Yeah, he did, kind of. Like he was cool. He's like, I'll just waive your cleaning fee, which was like $250. I was like, that's fine, man. Whatever. Just do you have any extra linens, sheets, like something? Which he didn't. And then he hit me up when we left. He's like, was the couch broken? And I'm like, I don't think so. But the couch was all dismantled. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, was something broken on it?
Yeah, that their backrest on the one side was just off.
Okay. So we kind of broke a couch, and I was
I don't
like,
think we did that. I think it was like that when we got there, dude.
yeah, and so he kind of like leveraged that, and I'm like, look, man, if you don't want to give me a refund for the cleaning fee, that's fine. But he did anyways, and he's like, we'll just buy a new couch. I didn't know that, but
Yeah,
it
I'm
was
pretty sure it was like
expensive.
that.
It was, and also it's not on the mountain, so we got to drive oftentimes twice a day.
Yeah.
Go get lunch, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it is so beautiful though, Josh. Like that.
I get
To
it.
Tim's point,
I
that
get
it
it.
is the best views.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It's just weighing it out part for myself, like, and we were talking about this really. It's like, is it time to start having a booth and stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
So then you got to start paying attention to how many people are showing up at booths, right?
Man, if it was that slow, I wouldn't probably do
Yeah,
booth at
yeah,
that
you're not
one.
gonna
But what
do
I
it.
would do, if you guys want to do this, throw it out there, was like find a way to get several camp spots reserved on the Madison or whatever. Is that the Gallatin River? Madison River? It's the Madison Range. You know, the river down there.
Gallatin, yeah.
The Gallatin. And like, be like, and just put it out there like, we're here. We're going to hang out here in the morning. We're going to hang out at the vendor village for a little bit. We're going to shoot, and then we're going to have a campfire every night. Come bring your favorite adult beverages and just hang out with the community, quote unquote. I'd be down for that.
Well, I'd love to know which ones let you camp too, but with the exception of like that and maybe Utah, they're kind of too far to drive to, right?
For
so
sure.
you can't bring camp gear with you if you're flying, unless
That's
you're
true.
going from like one to one if they're
We
week
kind of need to
consecutive.
charge stuff. Like we need electricity. That's the one.
It's
Yeah.
really hard to run that program without electricity.
Well, I got my big old portable battery banks, so
And I got generators and stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways,
you
yeah.
do need electricity at a certain
TAC's
point.
cool.
Food for thought.
I want to do more next year.
How'd you guys think you shot?
Terrible.
Terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
Both of you?
embarrassing.
Worst I've ever shot
Really?
at attack. Well, I hadn't lost an arrow at attack until this one,
Yeah.
and I lost my whole quiver. In my defense,
Quiver dump.
well, in my defense,
You had
my
one in it. You had
my
one in.
timing was out. Well, no, I lost it on that target because you guys were like, we have to have this target. So I was like, all right, here's my last one, and shot right under it. But in my defense, my timing was out, which on that particular bow, you're going to hit low bad if your timing's out. If you, especially on uphills, and every uphill shot I shot quite a bit low. But
Yeah, you did.
the
You
other
did.
the other issue for me was I was deliberately trying to go last because that was the us against Bodie, and if anybody tied him, I wouldn't take a risky shot.
Right.
Because once I started burning through a couple arrows, I'm just like, all right, I only have 6 arrows on me, and I only ever carried 6 because I hadn't lost a freaking arrow yet.
Yeah, there'd be no
And it was
reason for you to.
miraculous, like the first one I shot, I hit a rock and it freaking went up in the sky, and somebody found it, gave it back to me, and it was fine. Like that first tack I went to
Oh,
with you.
yeah.
Remember? Yeah, somebody like found it over by target 5.
Like,
here's your arrow.
forever
I was
away.
like, holy shit. Yeah, and I'd just been on a really good streak since then. I'd never lost an arrow, so I was like, I don't need to have extra arrows. 6 is more than enough. Where everybody else is carrying probably a dozen or something on them. just because you can do some risky stuff. And if Bodie was ahead, I was like, all right, well, I got to take a risky shot and try to match him or get ahead of him. And there were multiples on that course where it's like, you're going to lose an arrow. Like if you nick this, if you nick that, your arrow's gone.
Yeah.
Especially that, like I thought I had him too. The one where the trees, you had to move farther and the trees got closer together.
Yes.
And everybody had gotten an 8 and he was in the 10.
Yep.
And where I stood to be able to actually see his arrow, when I drew back and put my bow up, my pin covered the opening. Like you couldn't see the opening anymore at all. And I nicked the second tree. I think a fletch caught it, to be honest, but it kicked it out and went just below him. But that was an example of I have to.
If I had to,
I shot through stuff so many times on that.
I was watching. I didn't edit it, so I didn't. Dodds probably knows really well. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to forget it because I remember all the bad ones, which is not good. I know that, but I would say you were really, when you were on, you were on.
Yeah.
And when you were off, it was weird. It wasn't like, oh, I got a 8 barely. It was like, that's not like you. And same with me, man. Like I had some shots that were just awesome. I'm like, yeah, that's like me. And then I had some shots where I was like, I came home from TAC and I think I was home for a day and I had to fly to Wisconsin. So I got home, I shot my bow a ton. And then I flew to Wisconsin for 4 days. I came home and right before Jake's wedding, and I shot like 50 arrows the second I got off my airplane. I didn't even say hi to my family or kids. I'm just like, where's my bow? So
I need to feel better about this thing.
I'm appreciative of like being like hungry.
Yeah.
Because I don't like sucking. I don't like sucking on camera.
Yeah.
I love being confident. I shoot so much. So I think it was good. I'm glad to say that I shot shitty. And
part of that there's a combination of things that can be causing it too. Like I was struggling to see a lot, and that's been a common theme this year.
Yeah, I remember.
Like in San Antonio, the first couple of targets, I couldn't even see the target.
Struggling to see in the shadows or whatever.
Like when your eyesight starts to go, the light dark contrast is what you lose first. And when every time we shot into a shadow or a dark, I couldn't see the target at all. It was like finding an object that looks about right when you're like down here looking at it, and then when you pull up and look at it and be like, well, all right, kind of over there. And there were multiples where my pin, it went where I pointed. I just wasn't pointing at the right spot.
Like shooting a black bear in low light.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's the hardest, I think.
Yeah.
What's that called, Tim, when like your camera is hunting for a subject and it's going in and out,
I just call it hunting for focus, yeah.
Okay, so I've experienced that at up there on the mountain.
And with your eyes. Your eyes racking. Your eyes
like,
are racking back and forth.
I should be able to shoot better than I did.
Yeah.
I shot really good in the afternoons, but it doesn't matter.
Lighting's different.
The lighting's different. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have video footage of that, but we're not putting those out on the interwebs. We're putting the morning,
Yeah.
But I was getting in the mornings. I was getting my eyeball felt like it was hunting. So I'd like the target would be perfect and my pin would be blurred, which is what I prefer. And then all of a sudden, like boom, my lens is now focused on the pen, and I can't get it to focus on the. Have you ever had that happen?
No, I've always actually really struggled to look completely at the target. Okay. I think a lot of times my actual like focal plane is between the pin and the target.
Oh.
Yeah, like sometimes I can, especially on closer shots, just focus on the target. But yeah, I've been really aware of that, and it's very difficult for me to just completely just go to the target.
Mm-hmm. How'd you guys shoot?
This is the best I shot at a TAC. Not to be like the bearer of good news when you guys didn't shoot good or whatever, but
yeah. What were you shooting?
I shot the Elite Ethos, which we set up like a month ago and has kind of been just like a really sweet shooter for me. But I think it was a combination of things for me. Like, one, I'm very comfortable with the bow. I like it. Everything about it as well. I got the sight tape right on the first try, which is crazy. My sight tape was right at TAC, which is crazy.
Right. Small miracle.
My third axis is perfect, which is awesome. And then upon that, both days I was with really competent people with the camera. And I could just totally let go of the camera and focus on shooting. And that helped me. Cool. I think that helped me a ton because I could just focus on shooting. And yeah.
One this year.
And I only lost one arrow. And that was like 5 arrows into the Sitka course. Two arrows. I lost 5 arrows into the Sitka course, and I lost one on that tiny bear, which I misranged, my fault or whatever. But yeah, Shot really well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good, man.
It bolsters your confidence. It's just good. And
Made a match-winning shot to beat Michael on the final shot of the Army F course.
yeah, how did Michael shoot?
Michael shot great. He did what he does, and he's just really consistent and shot really well. It would be interesting to have him and Bodie on the same mountain just to see how they compared their way through a TAC, because TAC is so different than most of the 3D events,
Yeah.
how they would negotiate that side by side. Michael definitely shot some 8s, and I don't remember too many 5s, but I'm sure he did. And a few 10s, especially on like the last 5 targets, which was how we were able to kind of sneak some points back on him. But yeah, he just shot well. He shot good I don't think he lost an arrow,
Let's see.
That's good. I would say, like, watching Bodie, he was like 11, and if he didn't get an 11, he missed the 11 by a millimeter.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he did get a 0 on that one. He just didn't range it. And he got a couple 5s, but I can say any 5 he got, it was because it's some sort of wind effect that he didn't account for. So, but he doesn't take a bad shot. Like, he just doesn't take a bad shot. And then when he misses the 11, it's like barely missed the 11. Yeah. Those guys are incredible. I don't know.
One thing that impressed me about Michael was both days he just started so strong. Like on the Sitka course, he shot like 4 12s in a row or something, including the Moose and the next 4. And then on the Army F course, he did the same thing. And I gave him some shit. I'm like, dude, he just started really strong, which, for me in any sport, I've never been real great at starting strong. I could pull my way, and I almost like a little bit of uphill battle, but it's just impressive just to come out of the gate and just, especially, first TAC on camera, he handled it really well.
Yeah, I think I saw a comment that was like, I think Dodds put Bodie's scores in, and someone said, "Oh, I'm going to grab my scorecard because I think I might have beat Bodie." I'm like,
Yeah, right.
okay, first off, do you really think we stood at every cone you're supposed to? Like that Fox shot?
Yeah.
We added 31 yards to that tiny Fox target. We made it 100 when it was like 70 or 69. And I just don't think a lot of people could compete with Bodie on the mountain, like straight up.
No, and
in the world.
If they do, they just don't get it. Like, he's not just layers above us. He's so many layers above us. Like, it's not even close. He's been shooting since he was so young, and hundreds of arrows with really great coaching, really good technique. Like, so much time under competition, so much time under pressure. It's just we're not even playing the same game, honestly.
Yeah. I got to know the Bodie a little bit better because he's older now, and I'm like, damn.
And he's quiet you got to work to get to know him.
And man,
he
he's
warmed
a
up good.
hunter.
Yeah, he's a killer.
He's a bow hunter through
Yeah.
and through. Like, he's not there to talk about Reading, Vegas, Lancaster. He wants to talk about hunting stories. Dude's a hunt. He gets out even during like the fall. He hunts every day after school, like every day.
Yeah.
So
That's
I really
cool.
like that about him because there's a lot of target guys that just are targets. That's what they shoot. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Bodie's well-rounded, well-versed, but yeah. TAC's in the rearview mirror where it's time to look forward to.
Yeah, let's talk about
Hunting.
hunting. Let's close out. Tell me one thing you guys learned from that TAC experience.
I need to take Joel's advice and get my eyes checked and see if I should do LASIK.
You probably should, man.
Sooner than later, right? 'Cause
Yeah, I
it
need
only
to.
deteriorates.
It's getting worse. And it's just every time I go to something, it's worse than the time before. And I'm been diligent about taking the macular stuff, and it's probably helping. Maybe it'll progress worse faster, but my eyes are getting bad. They really are, up close especially. But the lighting, so up close and the lighting is really challenging. If it's bright, it's fine. Like, I can still see really clearly, and for me, that's just quite a struggle because I've had 20/10 vision my whole life. So to go to where all of a sudden now you can't see stuff, so like mentally kind of a little hard for me. But so yeah, I learned I probably do need to go to the eye doctor and get it figured out.
Man, I already know this, but I kind of relearned it / now I'm questioning it. Was sighting in and like building a sight tape for elevation and stuff like that through Precision Cut. And I think Tristan, the guy who owns it, texted me and I haven't responded yet because he was like, "How'd the sight tape go?" And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. But one thing for sure is a lot of elk that I hunt live at 8,000 to 9,000 feet would be the mean average.
Do you have like GPS coordinates you can
I
give
can
it
give
those? Or-
coordinates. And I'm thinking we were similar elevation in the Madison range in Montana there.
Yeah.
And you and I both decided to move our needle, our pin indicator needle, up
Yeah.
2 yards.
Yeah.
And I think that was really pretty
I
accurate
think it worked well.
for longer shots, like say past 60. But when I would shoot the other courses that when you were back at Vendor Village, I'd shoot like the REMF and then part of the Jack Link's course or something.
Which you run into it or something as you come
That's
down.
when I ran into this isn't working for these closer shots. So
Yeah.
I think when I get to elk camp this year, I'm going to get there. I usually get there a day early. I'm going to spend a little bit more time really sighting in instead of just like checking like a 50, 40 throw. Oh, I'm good. No, like putting 5 arrows at each tick.
Well, and there's an there's an easy solution to that if you're going up in elevation. It's just lighten your poundage.
That's what Bodie did, and I think that might be the way to do it.
It is the solution.
So
if
tell
you're
the
if
listeners
you're going
because I literally think, Tim, like honestly, me and Dodds were talking about that. We're like, man,
That is the
quit. I'm not effing around with sight tape stuff anymore. I'm going right to the Bodie trick.
higher. Make your sight tape for at home, right? Whether you're at 2,800 feet or 1,000 feet or sea level or whatever, and go up to the elevation you're going to get to. Your 20-yard impact won't change if you're backing your poundage down. Get out to 100 yards and back your poundage down to where you're hitting in the middle of the target again. And then when you leave, crank it back up to where it was.
And it's an
easy.
equal turn
Equal
on top
both.
and bottom.
Yeah, equal on both. And if you have like a lift or something like that, turn it like a 16th because they move fast. Like one bolt turn on a lift's like 7 pounds,
Roger
which is
that.
a lot. Normally it's 2 to 3 on your average bow, or probably now it's more like 3 to 4 because the limbs are getting shorter. So that movement is more movement of an angle on the limb. But yeah, like back your poundage down to where you hit in the same spot.
That's
And
what
it's
Bodie
done.
does.
Well, that's what
at
target
all his
archers do whenever they go
And I
different
just think-
elevations.
I mean, you can mess with the precision cut, and it is pretty dang good. But
Yeah.
I'd rather do the what we're talking about, and I want to like get good at doing that. Does that make sense? Like I want to figure out that. But what about you, Tim? What'd you learn?
On that note, thread 1 second. Bodie was the first person I heard mention that. And I think what you guys are describing is definitely a good strategy, but it's also like a pretty, most people aren't going to need to do that, that shoot an elk 50 yards and less. Like, and most people don't shoot good enough to know the difference.
You're probably not going to see it at 50
Yeah.
or 40. 40, no. But
Yeah.
beyond that, yes, you will.
Yeah. So
absolutely
if you're like a pretty accomplished archer and you can shoot well enough to see those groups, that's definitely something you can consider.
Well, we notice it every time we go because we'll actually shoot at a target. The first thing you do is like, okay, I'm off. Need to move. Like immediately. So if you're 50 and in, I agree with you. But if you're beyond that, it's noticeable.
I don't know which magic happened with me this year, but my sight tape was spot on over there. Maybe it's not right here, but it was definitely spot on over there, and I think it is spot on here. So I don't know what's going on.
It's not possible.
I know it's not possible because I get it from golf.
It's not
what I was going to
possible,
say,
dude.
Dan, is like typically the conversion sea level to 5,000 feet in golf is about 10%.
Oh wow!
So wherever you're at, it's going to be a percentage change. Mm-hmm. So it might be 3%, it might be 5%, it might be 1%. But if you know that percentage change, you can dial it to your yardage as well. Because if it's a 1, 5, or 10%, that's pretty easy rough math. So that's another way to think about it. You just figure out your percentage change, and then it's always a constant. And then at 20 yards, 10% of 20 is 2 yards. At 100 yards, 10% of 100 is 10 yards. So that percentage change slides with your yardage.
Yeah.
So that's how you would typically do it in golf.
The only hard part about that is remembering that in the moment.
Right.
That'd be the hard part.
Well, especially
your
hunting.
brain goes so
Yeah.
bleh when an animal walks in
Hunting,
front of
not
you.
practical.
Yeah,
but
no, you've got
Right.
to readjust it for that.
No, and I tell you what, guys, like the whole nuance of all this stuff and these rabbit holes that we're talking about. I'm glad you mentioned most archers because I think there's a lot of things we could talk about in this pod that a lot of people think that's what you should be doing. And the reality is, if you're going to, like, I'll give an example. Like, if you're going to sit there and knock tune every arrow as a bear shaft before you even fletch it, you better not torque the bow. You know what I mean? And I still torque a bow with the best of them.
Yeah.
Or the bear shaft tuning out to 20, 30 yards. I mean, there's so many little like rabbit holes that you can get caught up in. And so I feel like I'm glad you said, hey, the majority of us don't have to worry about that. Like that's like the top tier type stuff and the stuff I would aspire to be, but quite honestly, I'm not top tier at all.
Yeah.
You know, and the little bolt trick to me, I don't think that's super advanced. I think that's like pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
You know,
That's easy. I think the average person should be able to do that if you're going to an extreme elevation, especially if you can bring a target with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you can bring a
how many
target
guys
with
are
you,
coming out west?
a lot.
I mean, there's so many guys that
relevant.
Midwest and East Coast that are coming to Colorado for the last year.
And not only are they changing elevation, but air density likely, right?
Dude.
Because you're in the Midwest, you're at 100% humidity.
Yeah.
You come to the mountains, you're at 0% humidity, and then your lips are chapped, and you need some chapstick every day.
You start chafing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of those things affect how an arrow will fly because it's an air density and elevation thing. Those are your two primaries, which I have a lot of experience with from golf, and I can actually talk about that pretty confidently or whatever. Back to the things I learned, I think the thing I learned or relearned is like I can't get my left shoulder too far down. I just can't do it. Like as much as I try and I'm like, I'm sucking that shoulder down. And I just recently relearned, like when I'm drawing on uneven surfaces, it's more likely for me to kind of fuck up and draw with my shoulder high.
Yeah.
So when I'm on those uneven surfaces, I have to really be like, suck your shoulder down, suck it down. And then the other thing I'm really trying to do is like, I try to keep my right or my left arm like internal and bent, and I just can't do it too much. You know, I just can't. And I think I finally got my draw length right, which is like a major light bulb. Like it's easier for me to get in the right shoulder positions and my float is better.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So much so. The what's baffling about TAC, and I can give you an example. We are at the mountain goat target.
Yeah.
It's 96 yards. Remy Warren stopped in and shot. What up, Remy? I'm sure he listens to your guys' pod.
Yeah. In the 30 days that he's not hunting.
Me, and maybe that's it. We're the only ones that got 8s. I don't know. I think you got 5. Maybe you got 8. I don't remember. But you hit foam. Everybody else missed that target. A mountain goat's not a small 3D target. We spin around to the next target, and it's this
Corsican.
shitty. What is it?
Corsican ram.
Okay, it's
like
a
a
ram.
sheep.
That's all I can tell.
Yeah.
It's quartering to you the most severe way possible.
Yeah, it's
to where
way more than a quarter.
hiding-
It's like it's almost straight at
It's
you.
hiding the vitals. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's sloping and it's steep. So you got your slope, you got to cam in and all that stuff. And I would say everybody in our group hit it.
that target. Yeah.
And the worst shooter in the group, not saying his name, freaking shot an 11. And it
Right.
was it 80?
Oh, it's farther.
It was 80
it was,
something.
It was almost the same distance, if I remember right.
Can you guys explain how? Can you explain that? I guess
Sure, I can.
Okay, go ahead.
It was a harder target to begin with, and it was smaller to aim at, so it forces you to focus more.
And instead of the white blur.
Yeah, I've got to really pay attention to make sure I'm going to hit this target.
So when are you going to tell us the secrets of lighting? Because like the bear you hit at 90, or you didn't hit it? Did you
I didn't hit it. Yeah.
I hit it. I was the only person.
I mean, it's in the shade, and it's got
it.
an orange ribbon around its neck. That's the only way I could see it.
That's the only way I could see it.
And most of those shots that were just dark lit or a darker target in the shade is just like shooting a bear at twilight, man.
Let's not forget it's 92 yards too.
And yeah, magnifying, amplifying, all the mistakes. I don't know. So lighting is so huge, man.
It's a big deal.
You know how people on the internet are like, they see you use something or do something, and they're like, I do that, and they feel validated. Well, I feel validated because Bodie ranged that freaking tree at 95 yards. I'm like, Bodie, it's okay that I did it. Like,
Yeah, he did.
I get a
he
hall
did.
pass because
And
Bodie
he
did
didn't
it.
just like do like
No, he
he
tried.
clicked it, man.
Yeah, he was clicking a lot.
he's clicking.
It's terrible in my video. I actually say 92 and then I re-say 94 again. So I initially did range it right, but my last yardage was 94, and that's what I dialed
Where
to.
did you hit the bear? Because like we needed Josh to hit the bear. We all had missed it, and Bodie missed it.
Yeah, I wasn't going to shoot it, actually. I was like, please,
didn't wanna
somebody
shoot
hit
it.
this target, because I was down to 3 arrows at that point. 3 or 2 or something like
Where
that. I
did
was
you hit
running
it?
out.
I think you got an 8.
I was just outside of the 8, but I still hit the core. Bodie reshot it and hit the shoulder farther out than
What do you think the 8 is, like a tennis ball on that?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the 8 is a
8
tennis ball, the 10 is like a,
is generously a tennis ball.
and then the 10 is like
The 10 is a quarter.
like a big ass golf ball.
I'm
maybe
also not here for
Smaller than that.
squirrels, 3D squirrel targets like that, whatever that one was. I'm not here for that.
I think we might have skipped that one.
I wanted to.
well, yeah,
I
I
had
don't
to.
blame-
No,
I
we-
don't
we were
blame-
running
yeah,
out of time.
I lost an arrow
Brody
on
got a
that
5,
too.
so we had to shoot it. Like it was our chance to beat him. You know,
Yeah.
we were match playing, and
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I lost an arrow on that too. I hit right under it because that was another one where I shot low, and it's like it was progressively low, and I was like, God. I just
so
can't
you're
shoot.
gonna switch out your match strings then?
Oh yeah, my other stuff's here.
What are you going to do?
Oh, I'm going back to gas
You would.
because it's been 2 times or 3 times that I've had to readjust my timing on that bow, and maybe I just got a bad set. I don't know, but I don't have time to mess with it because it's time for me to pick a bow, and I want that thing to be right when I start playing with the
What
other
about
ones.
Timothy? What strings are you running?
He's
I've
got
been
the
on a
stock
mission to
ones.
run stock strings.
He's got his stock strings on
So
his
right now I
E+.
just have stock strings.
Yeah, dog.
So that's winner's choice
Yeah.
is what's stock on it.
Oh
Elite.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they've been fine so far.
Yeah, I used to run winners when it was winners choice.
I do feel
Remember
like
those days.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Did a lot of winner's choice back in the day.
I do feel like they're good. They're not as like taut as some of the like a gas ghost XV or like an A3 or whatever. But I almost like that because I can almost feel like there's just a little bit that moves and I feel like that's in the shot breaks or whatever. It's real small, but it does seem like it gives me just a little bit of feedback.
Just
I don't
a
mind.
tiny bit of sponge.
Yeah, just
Who makes the
just a
thinnest
smidgen.
center serving on custom strings? Like
I
standard.
think you can order them how you want, strands,
Yeah,
right?
even
Do you-
who runs standard thin?
Who runs like, hey, these are our standard custom strings, and like you can like fit cool
That is a
knocks
good
on it.
question. Honestly, I think gas in its standard is the right diameter.
Hmm.
I've not reserved a gas string for myself.
Nice.
Whenever I've used them, it's been a good knock fit. So I'm assuming it's right.
Can I
But
second
you can
you?
also just tell them whatever, and they'll make whatever.
Can I
What?
second you on the match strings things for a second?
Yes.
So Cage, our buddy Cage,
Cage
was just
Golden?
like a tall, skinny kid growing in the dirt of Montana.
Just a good looking boy, Montana boy.
Yeah, he's just a really great person. He shoots 80-pound match strings, Matthews title, and he's had the same thing. He shoots a lot, and he's had his timing come out a couple times. And someone at TAC was like, "Oh, they had heard that happens on some of the higher poundage with the match strings in the lift."
Yeah, but I'm not shooting a higher poundage. I'm shooting 70 right now because all the bows that I built, I was just going to shoot them at 70 to figure out which one I like.
'Cause
Because I'll probably do that.
I've heard so many rock solid things. This is the first time I've really heard that surface, but it surfaced a couple times specifically at TAC. So I'm wondering, is there like a little wave of them that might have had some stuff, or is it just that time? Or
So I can say because we've had, oh God, we've had 300, 400 lifts through the door, something like that, probably.
yeah,
And I think the census amongst all of the employees is that they do give. I think we've seen it enough that it's not. Now it's way better than what they were making. Like we're just like apples and oranges kind of quality, right? Between what they made last year and what they're making this year, but it's still, I don't think it compares to one of the top 2 or 3 choices that we would take. But they are good, and most of what we're doing, there's more shots through them than the average person.
and do
probably.
you think rain tends to expedite that, or does something to the process? Because I've seen in the rain a couple times people
Yeah,
had
I
a
can
little
see
bit
it.
of fits. Yeah,
I could see it. Your string's going to absorb some water, and throughout that process, it's going to change what it is. Which the ones that are supposedly waterproof might be a little more resilient in that regard, which is that bloodline fiber. But I've heard from multiple string makers that there's a little more variance in the material itself, so it's harder to make greater consistency over volume.
Now, what
which
if
is why
you
some of them won't
what if
use
you were just kind of a nut, like a Kyle Douglas who leaves his bow in a press overnight? Is that something that you think could maybe cure that or wear 'em?
I know when I was making them, I know what resolved it. And I'm not going to put that out in the world, but you can prevent that from happening. Period.
Oh,
Not a press, but
So anytime.
you'll tell us after the
Well,
pod.
I can tell you that I really think, and this is, I'm not going to divulge everything, but I think it's the wax under the serving, and when we've had that
Get
conversation,
that wax out.
multiple times, I think that's where that comes from.
you think
I
it's a wax
between-
on or a wax off kind of
I
situation?
think there's wax on and there should be wax off of the issue. You got to get the wax out from underneath the serving before you serve it. And I know that Matthews is using low wax material, which is what I always bought when I was making
Yeah,
strings.
yeah, that's
And it's a little harder to work with, and it's not as clean looking, but you have less wax under the serving now. But even when I did that, you still took more wax out of it after that.
right.
So, and I think when you get into hot, cold, dry, wet, dusty, that's where the wax under the serving comes into play. And I think it's more of a heat thing, but and when you start getting your timing out or a serving starts to separate, it's usually because the wax is warmed up and it's leaking its way out of the serving. Like the serving's holding onto it, and then it eventually gets warm and it starts to dissipate. And when it dissipates, the diameter of the material changes just a little bit, and
Yeah.
it makes your cable just a little bit longer.
Well, we just put 80-pound mods on my hunting bow. I went back. I mean, I was at 75, but it's that time of year where I like to be at my hunting setup. So we'll see. I'm on my second set of match strings. They lasted about 10,000 arrows. Then the serving started separating a little bit, right where I had soft knots and stuff. To be
And
expected.
you did have the first set out from them.
Yeah, I
and
mean-
traditionally, once somebody ramps up, traditionally their quality does go down a little bit.
We'll see.
So that might have something to do
So
with
I'll
it.
give him to. I'll tell you what. I'll give it to the end of this month. Well, actually, this month's almost over. I'll say by August 1st, I'll check my timing and see what's because it's in time right now, and it's 80 pounds. But if it does go out, honestly, and Matthews is okay with this, I will probably go to a different string. I'll go to ABB or actually Gas Ghost, whatever.
Well, Josh, you can vouch for this better than me, but I still think if you're going stock string to stock string to stock string in apples to apples comparison, I'm sure it's right there at the top.
Yeah, I mean, for a string that already comes on your bow,
Yeah.
I think it's the best one I've seen. Unless I'm overlooking somebody from different brands, and it's no offense to anybody else's strings, but I think that's the nicest string that already comes on a bow that you don't pay extra for. Because they didn't raise, I mean, they raised the price of the bows $30 and redesigned the entire bow, so they're not charging more for the string. You buy the string separately, it's way more expensive than what they made before. But
String
not-
lives matter.
it does.
That's
It does.
what I just learned. I mean, it's really strings are everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it is. It's something that you cannot overlook, and you can't possibly undervalue it.
Yeah.
Because you get all your work done, and then your string changes.
Well, and I
And now you
think
get to start over.
I think you can still get stock strings to shoot well for the most part, but you're gonna incur more headaches with stock strings, like timing, like serving separation, like these little things that can go wrong with your strings for people that really pound on their equipment.
Anybody that truly understands what it takes to get a bow to shoot correctly, which, you've messed with it enough, you kind of understand what goes into making it function. It always boils down to the strings. It really does. You get your wheeling set, you get your rest where you want it, and the only thing that really ever changes then thereon is the string and cables. And it's a lot of work to get that thing right. So who cares what a string costs? Like, if you just don't want to dick with it and you want to get it right and leave it there, just put good strings on your bow right out of the gate, which up until this year I always have. It's like, I'll give them a try because they were claiming some pretty impressive stuff, and I was very impressed with the stuff I saw at first. And for the record, my title has not changed. Like, it hasn't changed. I haven't had to retime it. I haven't had to do anything. I can't find serving separation on it anywhere. And I've shot it a pretty good amount. It hasn't changed, but my lift has. So, yeah. For what it's worth, though, you cannot replace the value of a good set of string and cables, which is why I made them for so long. It's because I didn't want to waste that time. Like, get it done right, and then it just stays that way, and you're good.
But it's impossible to keep a string maker on payroll.
Well, honestly, I'd have to charge so much for strings and cables for what our payroll is now. Like, in this
Right.
state, we're in Washington, right? Like, the minimum wage is 16 something. If you're going to have somebody that's proficient and good and shows up to work and cares about the quality they do and is going to try to work at a good pace, you're going to have to pay that person $20, $25 an hour. The way I build strings, I've never had somebody that's been able to do it faster than like an hour and 15 in a set, not counting stretch
Oh,
time.
dang. So there's just a ceiling on how many
There's
you
a
can
ceiling
do.
on what I can pay somebody, right? So
Yeah.
if I got to pay somebody that, and keep in mind, we have an employment tax in this state, which I don't know if that's federal or that's state as far as other states do it, but we pay a percentage above that in taxes for employing a person. So if I'm employing somebody at 25, I'm really paying 30 or more.
Josh's take is
Right.
basically like he just can't, apples to apples, he can't do as well as these other companies are doing. So he's like, it just
Yeah.
makes more sense to buy one.
I can make a product that is as good or better than the best that I've seen, and I can teach someone how to do it.
It just costs more.
but the landed cost of it is quite a bit more than what I can get a good product for. And then I have the headache of an employee and, backlog.
And your capacity is
our
max
capacity
too,
is
right?
maxed. Yeah, you can only make so many sets of strings a day.
Yeah.
And I don't want them.
You guys should get Eric Griggs on your pod.
Yeah.
He'd be a good one to talk to.
Yeah.
He's been doing it forever. Wasn't he at Winner's Choice at some point, or a president
before
of
he
the
started?
league? Or?
No, he was one of the guys in Winners. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure.
I think.
Strings matter.
Yeah, it does, and out of everybody that's a manufacturer that I've played with, I just think Gas has it down better as far as consistency from a large scale manufactured product. I've seen really good strings on a small scale. I think there's some really good string builders out there that
boutiques.
Boutiques, good word. That don't make a shit ton, that aren't like pumping out product into the world.
Yeah.
Right. That can do a really good job, but they typically get so busy they can't take more work.
I know that we put out on YouTube one time something about, hey, tell us what we want to try different strings this year. This is back with Tim when you were there, and I can't even tell you how many boutique string makers are out there. Like, it was like, oh shoot, we don't have enough bows to even try, or enough team to try all of them. So it's cool that there's a lot of boutique makers out there, and I would say support them. Find somebody and support them, because it's a labor of love.
Yeah, I get one of those in my DMs once a month. Hey, I make strings. You want to check them out? I'm like, I don't have any good ways to do that. And
yeah, it's tough. Well, the barrier to entry to making them isn't a lot. Like, it doesn't cost a lot.
How much does your setup cost up there?
Well, mine's not
That's
your
pretty
average.
fancy.
But he's got
Mine's
like
not your average.
pistons and hydraulics.
That's just
Mine's I've got $5,000 into stuff, and I had things designed and actually engineered. I actually made somewhere I got a box of parts to be able to make my own string jigs that I just stopped.
Sounds like you.
I got a whole box worth of them. I got
a whole box of everything in that place.
I got a few things here and there because my brain just goes, well, this is wrong. We need to make this better.
Oh, this is on closeout. I'll buy 10 years worth.
Yeah. I don't really do that anymore. Other than I did buy a crap ton of Matthews MX rests, like a crap ton, but because
like the original MX,
like the Matthews label before the one they're making now.
Oh, okay.
I have like 1,500 of those.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Yeah, lot.
Did you buy them from QAD?
No, I bought them from Matthews.
Oh,
they're the Matthews package, Matthews
yeah.
labeled ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll fit on any bow that's got that bracket. The only thing that makes it a Matthews is the laser.
What are you charging for them?
$200.
That's a pretty good deal.
They were like $270.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, $200.
We probably sold one just now.
Well, hopefully. Well, I don't know. This is the end of the video, right? We're damn near.
Yeah.
We're probably too late. Should have said that at the beginning. Oh man, but yeah, it's if you're not gonna seek out a real boutique string maker, just buy Gas. Like they're good stuff.
Yeah.
They just are. It's the most reliable one that I know of.
Yeah.
Not to say there's not other good ones out there, and I'm not to bash. And I'm sure somebody's got a bad Gas string somewhere.
Right.
It's
There always is the exception.
It's manufactured. It's high scale manufactured. There's going to be a bad one here and again. But I can also guarantee you, if you got a bad one, they shipped you out another one within a day for free.
Yeah.
If you contacted them and said there was something wrong with it, the next day they're on it.
I've used 2 or 3 sets. They've been good.
They're really for a high manufactured product. It's the best one I've found.
Yeah.
How long would you? No, we got to close this out. How long would you leave your
We could just do
stringers,
this
your
forever,
strings in the stretcher for?
Personally,
Yeah.
I'd put them in the stretcher and just go home and come back the next morning.
Okay.
For
Overnight.
myself.
Yeah, yeah.
But I found, so what I would be testing is I'd actually put weight on it and a scale on it and turn the air on and then turn the air off. So it pulls it up to 350 pounds, then turn the air off and walk away. Write down the number. Come back an hour later. What's the number say? Did the number go down? Well, then it stretched. Turn the air back on. Right. And I found after 45 to 50 minutes in my process, it stopped moving. So if that number ain't moving, then it ain't stretching.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you can't leave the air on.
Right.
Because then it's always putting pressure on it. You need to create the pressure in the cylinder and then shut it off. And as long as there's not a leak in it, that number should stay static. If that number is static, that thing's done stretching. And I did that before you put any serving on it. Just the end loops, just serve the ends, nothing else. And that was part of knowing that how long it took and how long I had to sit in a jig. And that's why I had a 6-bay jig. Because if I load one up, build it up, twist it up, put it in the next one, keep going to the next one, until you got 6 in there, then you go back to do the one that's in there to begin with, and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so you couldn't build it fast. One person couldn't sit there and build it fast enough to not have the first one you started with fully stretched out by the time you got back. For the material we used, the process we used, that's just how long it typically took, 45 to 55 minutes.
What do you think it would take to do a Protect Our Park style podcast for like 4 or 5 hours? We would have to plug the cameras in to like have power sources.
Yeah, plug them into the walls.
Put them in 1080 instead of 4K.
You'd have to have participants that were willing to sit there and drink beer till you passed out, because that's what a
We
Protect Our
we
Parks
need
is.
like a young Jamie to monitor the cameras. It would be cool.
No one's coming back. We
On
can
that
do it.
note, fire's out. We wanted to have Dan on the podcast.
Appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Appreciate you coming on.
Honored.
Yeah. It's been fun to hang out and chat. Yeah, it's cool. Any closing notes?
How many days till September?
Yeah, he probably
June
60 days or
27th.
less.
65.
It'll be here before you know
65.
it. It'll be gone before you know it. It's yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have a weird bonus year for hunting. I wanted to talk a lot about hunting and what was coming up with Dan, so maybe we have him on again soon and talk about hunting or whatever. Let us know what you guys think about that. Lots more to chat about, but we are the Fireside Podcast, and our fire is out. So appreciate you guys. Subscribe, leave it a review wherever you're listening or watching, and we'll catch you back for the next one, huh?
Peace.
That's that.